Yeah, I guess we're back talking about Ian Cuckchado Garry again because he seems to be on the forefront of everybody's mind. There seems to be a lot of amnesia happening within the MMA community, within the ex-fighters, the shills, the media shills especially. If we look across the board at the actual media, MMA media, it kind of feels like Cuckchado is the number one guy in the world that everybody loves and no one has a single bad word to say about him. And if we look at the actual ex-fighters, the YouTubers, it's literally a mass case of cognitive dissonance. Because in the aftermath of the Magny debacle with Ian Garry, a lot of these guys, Chael Sonnen, Michael Bisping, Josh Thompson, John McCarthy, Brendan Schaub, they all, across the board, all of these guys, they seem happy enough to bury the fact that across the board, this guy has lost the room. 100%. The fans have turned against him. The majority of people who actually critically think know that this guy is on a downward spiral. But again, these guys caveat everything with, he's literally the best in the welterweight division. I mean, Brendan Schaub, Chael Sonnen, and other very prominent YouTubers are literally giving this guy a pass over the last week. His absolute and utter disgusting behavior seems to have flown under the radar because he's a good striker. And one ex-fighter who trains at the same gym as Ian Cuckchado let it slip last night in the middle of a kind of a recap of UFC 293. He left some very interesting insight slip, and I'm not sure that he should have because he tried to cover it up real quick. We're going to get to that in a minute. Before we do, if you could subscribe, that would be awesome. We got a nice little bit of viewership on the last video, and I'd love if you could just hit that subscribe button and boost this and get the word out there, because there was a lot of lovely messages and a lot of lovely comments in there from people that said, listen, who else is telling the truth? Who else has the balls to tell the truth? Well, look, I'll do it to the best of my ability, and with the help of God, we can actually drive this channel on a small bit more. There's so much happening over the last couple of days with Cuckchado. He's fighting Michael Venom Page, he's fighting Dustin Poirier, he's fighting Colby Covington. He thinks Colby Covington is going to get sparked out clean against Leon Edwards. He's hanging out with Jake Paul. He's getting absolutely destroyed by certain elements that are a little bit braver than the usual shills in terms of his abusive behavior in front of his own child, which is kind of ironic after what he tried to do to Magny. By all accounts, is a really good guy, just a terrible shit talker, and got caught in the moment, and Ian Cuckchado jumped on that and didn't leave him up. From a naive point of view, you could look at the likes of Chael and Michael Bisping and Brendan Schaub, and you could look back at other trajectories, other hype trains, such as Darren Till, Paddy Pimblett. There's no need to drag up any old clips of these guys because you know the hype that was put behind this guy's name. Paddy Pimblett. I mean, across the board, we were told by the UFC, by Dana, and by the majority of these shills that he was the next big thing. The crowd is absolutely loving Paddy Pimblett. He's got the entirety of Britain behind him. He is the future of the UFC. He's the next Conor McGregor. It was said by him, and it was said by pretty much everyone across the board. And how did that work out? The more we shine the light on Paddy Pimblett, the more people went, nah, no, I don't think so. I'm not really interested in that. And as the competition got bigger and better, he looked terrible. Jared Gordon isn't exactly like a title contender, and he absolutely decimated him. That's why I say amnesia. When we look at like Darren Till was going to be the next big thing. He was going to be the next UK champion. He was going to be the replacement for Michael Bisping. Did it happen? Absolutely not. Do I like Darren Till? Yes, I do. He's much more likable than Paddy Pimblett. But again, it didn't work out. I think as the competition got stiffer and he moved up the ranks and fought bigger and better guys, he got exposed. But what got exposed even more so was the fact that it's a game of media, it's a game of minds, it's a game of gaslighting and propaganda. UFC love to build these big stars. They will protect them all the way until they can get what they want out of them. That's what it is. It's about bringing in pay-per-view numbers. It's about bringing in big crowds. It's about getting asses in seats. That's really what it's about, and you don't blame them for that. But what you can blame them for is gaslighting people, because it's extremely frustrating when the majority of people that are watching know that what we are being told is not actually what we are seeing. And I find that we're in the situation right now with Ian Garry again, and it's frustrating. It's like, how many times can you keep doing this, and how many times can people still buy this stuff and slurp it up? Listening to Brendan Schaub, listening to Jesse on Fire, listening to Chael Sonnen, listening to Michael Bisping, listening to all these big YouTubers, we are being told that not only is Cuckchado the best striker in the game, he's the next Israel Adesanya. I don't think that's something to aspire to. Maybe being the champion or whatever, I don't know, wearing nail varnish and all that type of stuff, I don't know. Maybe he wants to be that guy. These guys are telling us that Ian, Cuckchado cannot be beaten. That's pretty much what they're saying. Across the board yesterday, I saw so many opinions, and all of them were right in line with the trajectory and the propagated idea of him being the best in the welterweight division, if not the UFC roster. He can beat Wonderboy Thompson easy. He can beat Kamaru Usman easy. He can beat Leon Edwards easy. He'd destroy Colby. Khamzat, not a problem. Michael Venom Page, absolutely not. We are being told, honestly, that this guy is unbeatable. And I think the most infuriating part for me was the performance against Neil Magny. Okay, how do we look at it? How does the educated mind look at that performance? We are being told by all these guys that Neil Magny is no walkover, that he's a UFC gatekeeper, and not everybody can run through him. Okay, so are we saying that Ian Garry is more talented than everybody that fought Neil Magny or everyone that has fought in the welterweight division? That's the way it's being made sound. Coupled with the fact that these YouTubers who are not casuals, that are very in the know when it comes to the sport and the intricacies of the sport, think that he is unbeatable. He is unbeatable. And of course they don't have amnesia. They know what's going on. Now, some of them might be a little bit slower on the uptake than others, like Brendan Schaub. Brendan Schaub thinks that he's the next big thing, that him and Israel Adesanya are the biggest thing in the sport. Now, do me a favor, right? Let me know down below if you think that Israel Adesanya and Ian Cuckchado Garry are the biggest thing in the sport. I think it's absolutely ludicrous to even allude to that. It's so crazy. Why is the UFC and the MMA media not getting behind the likes of a Volkanovski? I haven't seen a better fighter than Volkanovski across the board. Why is he not the face of UFC? Why is he not the guy that we are promoting? Does he move needles? Of course he does. It's Volkanovski. I think it's a case of whether it's good publicity or bad publicity, whatever it is, we're going to boost it all the way up. We see it with Colby Covington. He's not everybody's cup of tea. Granted, I'm a fan of Colby Covington. I'm a fan of his grappling style. That's just me, right? So when he talks shit and when he talks absolute cringe, I'm joking, I'm kind of laughing about it. It's all about left, right side brain personality. When you see Cuckchado and you see Israel Adesanya, my subjective mind, these two people are the most annoying things that I have ever seen. A lot of people then will also add the fact that I'm a hater. They'll also add the fact that I'm racist. It's said to me all the time. Very coincidentally, 52,000 views on the Ian Garry video, and I wasn't called racist once. Okay, why would I be? He's white. Well, look, he's Irish. He's from the same country as me. I'm supposed to be behind him, but I'm not. I called him out for what I perceive to be bullshit, but all of a sudden I'm racist when it's Israel Adesanya. Doesn't make sense, does it? Of course, I'm going to have subjective feelings for fighters that I like and that I dislike, but what I'll try to do is listen to what the crowd are saying, listen to what the comment sections are saying, listen to what the forums are saying. After the Dricus du Plessis incident and the racial abuse by Israel Adesanya, he lost the room. It's as simple as that. For anyone who wants to critically think and do a little bit of research and just read a little bit of the comment sections, you'll see he lost the room. And then we look at the media and they acted like it didn't happen. They acted like he was on top of the world and he's the biggest star. And it's a slap across the face, especially in the world that we live in now. We live in a totalitarian extremist world where there is no nuance and there is no grey area. It has to be either black or white, and it's got to be an extreme. There is no middle ground anymore. So we don't have the media in the UFC or in MMA in general coming out going, Israel Adesanya is one of the best strikers in the game. Fair play. But also, he's a very strange and narcissistic and racist person. That's all you had to say. It would never happen, because his racism was directed towards someone that was white. That's why that flew under the radar, and that's why this whole scenario with him was subverted. With Ian Garry, it's a different kettle of fish, because what we have seen is maybe 2 or 3 outlets out of dozens. They have just touched on the idea that he might have been out of order, the way he treated Magny, the way Magny saved this guy's paycheck, came in and did a job, made a little slip up in terms of saying that I whoop my kid's ass like to keep him in line and I do the same to him. And this motherfucker goes after him and he abuses him and he's telling him that you're going to go home in a wheelchair and you're going to reflect for the rest of your life on what you said. It's like, bro, calm down. And the fact that the media didn't call this out and didn't ardently go after him and say this is unbelievably disrespectful as a professional fighter says so much to me. That's why I called him out in the last video, and that's why I'm calling him out here. Media in general have a natural proclivity to hide the truth and subvert the truth, and they're extremely good at it. We need someone to call that out, even if it awakens 2 or 3 people, and then that spreads and exponentially grows. We might be onto something here. Most people that watched Ian Garry last weekend were turned off by him, and when we look at our content creators, when we look at our YouTubers, when we read our MMA media shills, we see the complete inversion. We are being told that he is the best ever at striking. No one can beat him. According to certain YouTubers yesterday that I watched, nobody can beat him. And one or two were brave. Some of them went after him, especially here we have Full Mount MMA. Fair play to them. They went after him. They alluded to the fact they did some actual journalism, went into the comment section, found out what people were saying about his behavior here in front of his child. Off the back of reading the comments, they mentioned the word abuse because he was cursing using bad language in front of his child. And is it a fair representation of what actually transpired in this video?
Ian posted this to his Instagram. It's a reaction video to the fight against Neil Magny. Many fans were quick to point out the language Ian used in front of his son and let him have it in the comments.
That's f***ing sick! Are you ready? I'm like, yeah. Me? Alright, mate. Look, boom, sit the down. Can I just say, I am f***ing excellent. Frustrate the out of him. Beat him with that he's never done before. Honestly, I just wanted to beat the out of him. I was like, beat the living out of him. That was fun.
So do I think it's abuse cursing in front of your kids? I've got 3 kids. I do my best not to use bad language in front of them. That's just me. If someone curses in front of them, they're used to it. You know, they see it on TV. It's not abuse. It was also not abuse what Neil Magny had said. You know what I mean? And for this guy to go after him so hard, then I can understand how it can be reciprocal. That's why the comment section lit up. Full Mount MMA called him out. It was great. I don't think it's abuse. I think it's douchebag behavior. It's probably more abusive seeing your 25-year-old dad sitting back on the chair with his shirt open going, I'm excellent. I beat the shit out of this guy. I'm excellent. There's no humility there. You're not talking about martial arts. 5 minutes before this, you're talking to the media about how you trained in Brazil and you encompassed the spirit of the Brazilian Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I sat and I did the breathing exercise like these guys and I became one with Jiu-Jitsu. 5 minutes later, you're sitting with your chest exposed, cursing all over the place in front of your 1-year-old after you just abused the guy for 3 days and tried to spin a narrative. He's just a scumbag. It's as simple as that. So I'm glad that someone called it out. So one YouTuber that actually had a little bit of a different narrative yesterday, that was Josh Thompson. Of course, him and John McCarthy went on about how this guy is the future. No one can beat him. He's absolutely great and amazing and everyone should bow down to Ian Garry because he's such a great guy. Fine, they're all on the same page yesterday. They all got the memo. But he let one little thing slip that I found very interesting because we know that Chael and Schaub, they're all talking about who he's going to fight next. And one of the names that keeps being mentioned is Shavkat Rakhmonov, and it's an interesting fight. His last fight against Jeff Neal was actually a good little bit of a banger, in fairness. I watched it there yesterday again, and the two of them lit each other up, in fairness. I think Jeff Neal would have been a way bigger challenge than Neil Magny, but Rakhmonov is a dude. He's a serious dude. He trains at the same gym as Ian Garry, and so does Josh Thompson, and he let something slip here that I don't think he should have. Let's have a little listen.
But I'm going to say right now, they train in the same gym, him and Shavkat. And I would love to tell you how that sparring goes, but I can't get out to watch out and find it. But I know exactly how it goes.
I know how it goes too. I've talked to him.
So I mean, Ian Garry.
But if you're Ian
get your
Garry,
mind right, buddy.
No.
You see, John interrupts there and he's like, no, don't say that because you're actually giving away the secrets and it's kind of an unwritten rule that people don't speak about sparring. But Josh Thompson 100% believes, I think, going off what he said here, that Rakhmonov would actually destroy this guy. That's what I think. Like, a lot of people are saying, feed him to Rakhmonov. I don't think it'll be a complete and utter feeding because, look, let's look at it. Ian Garry is not bad. You know what I mean? He can throw down well. I've seen him fighting over and over again. I've seen him cage warriors. The dude can box. Let's put it that way. The dude can kick. He's good, right? Is Rakhmonov the guy to beat him? Well, he's tough. He's durable. He's got an unbelievable chin. He's got a stand up. He does stand a little bit high when he's boxing, and there is footage of them sparring, and it's quite interesting. But I want to know what he's talking about here, because is it a case of the grappling? Is that what we're talking about? Because he says that Ian Garry must get his mind right if he's going to fight him, and then he's cut off straight away by John McCarthy. Get his mind right for what? Does that mean that he doesn't have the mental strength to beat Rakhmonov? Dude, that's an exciting fight for me. I'm up for that fight. I'm up to see Ian Garry humbled. If he runs through Rakhmonov, right? And then we start talking about bigger names like Kamaru Usman, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the new champion Colby Covington. If he can run through these guys, then I've probably triggered a bunch of people when I said that. But anyway, if he can run through these guys, then I will hold up my hands and say, look, he's one of these douchebags like Israel Adesanya who's really good. I think that Israel has had a bunch of absolute like snore fests, and you know, when he did fight a grappler, which the UFC don't like doing when they're building a star, they like to protect them from the opposite styles, you know, like, so Israel is a great stand-up guy. He doesn't want to grapple. When he grappled, he got broke up and beaten, you know, so that's kind of what they're going to do with Ian Garry. So if that next fight is Rachmanov, going on what Josh Thompson, who trains at the same gym as him, says that Ian needs to get his head straight before he gets into that fight, that's an interesting one for me. It's an interesting one to see where we go. Again, we're at the end of the video. We have to try encapsulate and kind of round everything up about how we feel about our given topic. Ian Garry, he's an absolute scumbag. It's as simple as that. The media are hiding it, the UFC are trying to hide it, and all the content creators and ex-fighters are literally doing their best to touch on it for a tiny caveat and then run away saying that he's the future and he's the best guy and he can't be beaten. So they have that little fallback where when he has a downfall like Paddy Pimblett or Darren Till, then they can say, oh yeah, do you remember when we said, but he needs to stop that crazy shit talk? It's like, dude, be honest. Tell the truth. It'll set you free. Do me a favor, hit like, subscribe and share. Cheers.